Will you please call a roll? Vice Chair Bakota? Here. Committee Member Chan? Here. Committee Member Lee? Committee Member Napper?
Here.
Committee Member Notashen? Here. Committee Member Tran?
Here.
Sorry. This time, please rise if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. You committee member trying to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I want to please provide additional information on how to participate at today's meeting. Chair, to participate in today's meeting, members of our audience who wish to speak may submit a request to speak card located in the back table, the side table. For those who wish to participate virtually, visit zoom.us using any web browser or the Zoom app on smartphones or tablets and enter meeting ID 161-375-5563 and passcode 990569. In lieu of using a computer, smartphone, or tablet, you may also dial in by calling 669-444-9171 and entering the same meeting ID. The meeting ID and passcode, along with additional instructions, a tutorial, and helpful tips on using Zoom, are also available on our website at cityofirvine.org/DEI committee under how to watch a live meeting. Those who wish to provide comments via Zoom are asked to enter the speaker queue by raising their hand electronically. I will call your name and allow you to unmute your microphone at the appropriate time. Those dialing in by telephone will be identified by the last 3 digits of their telephone number. We ask that you please state your name. The time limit per speaker for agendized and non-agendized items are noted in the posted agenda and shall be established based on the number of requests to speak submitted before the first speaker is called. Requests to speak submitted after the first speaker is called shall receive 90 seconds. The City of Irvine also continues to offer the e-comment feature for all agenda items. Those who wish to comment on matters before the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee in lieu of providing live testimony may submit comments in writing via mail to attention Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, 1 Civic Center Plaza, Irvine, California 92606, or by email to DEI@cityofirvine.org. All comments will be provided to the DEI committee as part of the meeting record and will be uploaded to the city's website. Any e-comments received before, during, or after discussion of these items will still be included as part of the official record. For technical assistance with Zoom before or during the meeting, please call 949-724-6078. For any other questions or assistance, please contact the city manager's office at 949-724-7444 or via email at pm@cityofirvine.org. Tracy. I will now turn to my colleagues and staff to see if there are any announcements that you would like to share. I'll defer to you all first and
Tuesday is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and so Councilmember Lou is on the proclamation that will be read, and so to join in the recognition on Tuesday, I believe probably about 5 p.m.
Okay, if we could please pull up the announcements PowerPoint. And while that's being pulled out, I just wanted to share that this room is going to potentially be unavailable for a couple of months going forward. So please, everybody who tunes in or attends and committee members, please note the posted location when we post next month's agenda, and we'll let you know separately as well. We'll do every time to keep it as close to this location as possible.
And we also sharing that Christine Chen is joining us as the appointee from Councilmember Martinez Granville, District 5. And we did get permission to share from the former committee member that they moved out of the cities. And that is the reason they first design that we appreciate Noel's time and we consent. Okay, so we received a request for an update on the city's municipal equality index. So this marks the 4th consecutive year that the city of Irvine has received a perfect score on this strategic human rights campaign rating, which is a key benchmark assessing how extensively cities have embraced LGBTQ+ inclusivity with their laws, policies, and services. The city's been long dedicated to fostering a welcoming and inclusive community. In January 2021, the Irvine City Council passed a resolution reaffirming its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Its DEI committee will facilitate a more inclusive environment that values diverse cultures and backgrounds. For more information about the city's programs and initiatives to promote unity, inclusivity, and diversity, please visit weareirvine.org. Sorry, the speaker was. Thank you. So this document is available on the hrc.org/MEI to the public. If you'd like to see it, there's also a copy in the committee members' packets here. Breaks down our score. So Irvine received 15 bonus points for the 2nd consecutive year in the following MEI categories, including non-discrimination laws, got 30 out of 30 points plus 4 bonus points. Municipality as an employer, 28 out of 28 points, plus a bonus point for the city providing employee domestic partner benefits. And municipal services, 12 out of 12 points plus 10 bonus points. And again, that full report is available at hrc.org/MEI. Next slide, please. I'd also like to announce that the Lunar New Year at Great Park Live event is being hosted on February 7th. It's a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. This event is sponsored by the fundraisers for the Asian American Museum, including the South Coast Chinese Cultural Center, and the city is providing some in-kind support. So we'd love for you to join the inaugural Lunar New Year Parade and Festival, which is a vibrant celebration marking the beginning of the lunar calendar with cultural performances, lion dances, traditional cuisine, community booths, and a family zone, as well as the first ever Lunar New Year Parade out to Great Park. This event, tickets are actually $2. Again, it is a fundraiser for the Asian American Museum at the Great Park. And they're expected to sell out. So advance purchase is strongly encouraged, and we'll provide more information to committee members about how their attendance may be facilitated. So tickets are available at greatparklive.com/events for community members who may be interested in attending. And again, this is not a city event, but the city is providing some sponsorship that was approved by the city. And that concludes my updates at this time. Just wanted to give a second call for any other announcements. Let's see, we will now hear public comments on matters not on the DEI Advisory Committee agenda. For those attending in person who wish to speak, please fill out the speaker's card and send it to Tracy. Those participating via Zoom may now raise their hand electronically to enter the speaker queue. Any member of the public may address the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee on items within the DEI Advisory Committee subject matter jurisdiction, but which are not listed on the agenda. However, no action may be taken on matters that are not part of the posted agenda. Tracy, please provide the number of requests submitted to speak on non-agendized items, both in person and via Zoom.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, we have 3 in-person speakers and 4 Zoom speakers. Each will get 3 minutes. For those who wish to speak, to unmute your microphone when prompted using a computer, move your cursor until the unmute microphone icon is displayed. For smartphones and tablets, tap your screen until the icon appears. If you are participating by telephone, press *6 to unmute your microphone when prompted. And as a reminder, please state your name for the record. Actually, correction is we have just 3 in person. Online members are not raising hand this time. Robin?
Hi, My name is Robin. I am a 20-year resident of Irvine. And I am a I've been a public/government employee for the past 30 years. I'm here today to ask the DEI committee to please do the work that the DEI committee was appointed to do. As I read agendas from not just this committee, but pretty much all of the appointed committees, what I notice is that the people who have been appointed to do the work of representing the residents of the city are not really following up with the kind of integrity and fidelity that I think we need. To give you a very specific example, several years ago, the city embraced the idea of opening an office for inclusive excellence. This year, or this.
Robin, is the remainder of your comment about the office?
No, it's about the inconsistency between what the office was intended and what seems to be happening with the office. And that is, the office was intended to be a full-time office.
I'm so sorry, I adore you, but right now this public comment has to be about non-agendized items. And because the Office of Inclusion is an agendized item, the comments will need to be taken at that time.
Okay.
So that's why I think it's not.
Okay, I am literally here for 10 minutes to show up and say my piece, and then I will not be back. So it sounds like I can't get my comment on the record to print.
No, you can, just
But
when,
I can't, because I won't be back for it. Because I have to win. So,
We welcome you to participate via Zoom if you would.
thank you, and again, I have other things that I have to do, and so I won't be back, and I won't be home, and I won't be online.
We would love for you to conclude your comments if, as long as the office topic is not part of them, but we would love for you to finish out your time.
Well, so I'll just talk about the job of the director seems to have been relegated to a non-essential function that's being assigned to a current full-time employee. And there's absolutely no way that the work of an office like that can be done by one person in a non-essential function with no additional staff and nothing else allocated. And what it sounds like to me is that the plan is to just farm out this work, contract it out to a vendor, and I'm furious. Whether or not that's the intention, the position needs to be a full-time, fully designated position with the work being done by the city and not a vendor. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Thanks. Stacy?
I'll wait and see what the agenda. Then I put it in there. Great,
We can,
Okay, we'll just move it forward. Yeah, thank you.
thank you so much. Carol?
Yes. No, it's not. Okay. Because I still want to talk to, this is the DEI committee, and I have a transparency issue. And it's not specific to the office. And to be honest, I go to City Hall all the time and they allow free speech to happen. And I hope you're allowed free speech to happen tonight also. This is my third time coming to this meeting, and every single time I sit through it, listening to everything and feeling like there's more that's not being told to us. And so in November 4th, I did a public records request, which I'm going to pass out to you guys right now. This is what came back. 700 pages came back, actually. Within the 700 pages was several emails that were alarming to me. This is about transparency, right? I've been here 3 times since 3 meetings, and every time I was told that, and I'm just going to read this into the record, that the Office of Inclusive had no budget allocated to it, had no research to it. I was waiting to hear research, and here we go behind the scenes. An email from Grace Yoon, who works for the budget office, is sent out about position cost estimates. This was then sent on to Liliana. of which there's another email change to Liliana, who then sent it to Councilmember Betty Franco. This email chain had Office of Inclusive Excellence salary and benefit costs. I think you can see here, I'm just reading it out loud because people can't see online. The manager is $265,000, program assistant $118,000, program specialist $138,000, analyst 1 $158,000, analyst 2 $178,000, administrative assistant $118,000 for a grand total. And this is a mid-range burden rate. This is meaning that they're estimating what the mid-range is, not even like getting the best of the best. It's $977,711. These estimates, I've been here 3 times, were never brought forth. They were obfuscated from the public. They were obfuscated from city council. I don't think it's appropriate. On the back, the rest of your email shows that there were also emails about DEI research that was done, showing that they had looked into cities that actually are not parallel, like San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Jose. And all of them also had staff, even an 8-member staff, $4.7 million. And again, I've been coming to this wanting to hear what this is going to look like. I've been coming to city council. I went to Betty Franco, Councilmember Betty Franco's, Martinez Franco's agendized item on it to hear this information, and nothing is being brought forth to the public. So I'm here today to really ask of you guys, we need the information so we understand what's going on here. This is being done in the dark. It's not appropriate. We need to know this is taxpayer money. This isn't a pot of money that just anybody can grab into. I'm not going to talk about the agendized item because they don't want me to. I will be back for that. This is just to show you, this is from November 4th that I requested it. I only got it a week ago. If you need staff anywhere, it's in this public records document.
Thank you for your comment. We will now consider public testimony by those participating in Zoom, but I think Tracy, you mentioned there weren't. Are there still none? Okay. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Okay, now for the meat and potatoes, let's get into our consent calendar. First, we have our minutes. We are now going to consider consent calendar item number 1. Those participating via Zoom may now raise their hand electronically to enter the speaker queue. Committee members, are there any questions or discussion on this agenda?
I do have a question, and I haven't gone back to watch the video, and also this is just by my memory. The characterization of the comments regarding the office are a bit black and white, and I don't remember it being that way. So you list all these people and you say they were in opposition of the formation of the office, but yet really what it was in the meat of the discussion was things that were requested, and you list them here. So I don't know that it's fair to have this list and say every one of them was opposed to the office. They brought up questions and concerns. And then the other list, you have Julie Hyman, Rob Durian, council members, some of them were, but you said they publicly expressed support for the creation of an office. They expressed the need for data analysis. So again, I think that's a little black and white. I'm not sure that you could characterize that they were absolutely in support. They were requesting other information. Again, I haven't rewatched the video. That's my memory. And I see this happening with minutes and sometimes city council where they just characterize, opinions and then just do a list. And it just doesn't feel like
that you would like for the minutes, or if they're making suggestions to it.
Yeah, I don't
We
think.
can go back to the consistent with how we conduct minutes, all of the.
Oh, I believe that. I guess I'm just saying like the first line of each section is not in my recollection that they expressly opposed the formation of the office or that they expressly were in support of the creation of office. I felt like they were bringing up issues that they were discussing as it related to the office. But I'm not sure that I'm not remembering exactly, but I remember the discussion being more discussion based, not a specific coming up and say, I oppose this and this is why I oppose it. It was more.
Our minutes are not intended to be verbatim. They are action minutes that provide a summary of what has been heard.
We're not ever going to be in.
I understand.
minutes.
I think that summary is incorrect in my
Okay,
opinion.
is there a summary that you would like to
Um,
propose, or
I-
would you like staff to?
I think you could take out the first sentence of either or. I don't think I don't think it's a correct characterization to say one was in favor, one was opposed. I think it is good that you expressed the issues that were brought up. But I would just take out the first sentence.
Do you want to make a motion to
I,
approve the minutes with that amendment?
yes,
With removal of the first sentence of 11 members ending with the word excellence. And then the following sentence at the bottom, the following members express support, removal of those two sentences.
yes, I would like to make a motion.
Carrie, you can open up for discussion if there is any discussion.
Okay, does anyone have any feedback on motion being proposed?
If no discussion, I would take a motion
Okay,
on amending the minute as suggested and approving them as amended. That makes sense to everyone?
So I make so I've already made a motion. Okay, I make a motion to approve the amendments to the minutes as was explained.
And then you need to take a vote on the amended second. You do need a second in order to take the vote on that item. There is a second.
I second the motion to make the amendment.
Then now you vote on you're approving the minute as amended with removal of the first sentence under 17 requests were received to speak on the item. And then following that last bullet point by R, removal of the first sentence of the following members of the public express support for creation. So removal of those two sentences, I believe that's your request, Vice Chair.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the October.
Make the motion in a second.
Oh, but I thought that was to do the amendment. I still need to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Sorry.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
To be fair, you're making, my understanding, my understanding is there's a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Second, a motion by Vice Chair Bennett.
Are you making a public comment here for this item? Zoom.
There's a what?
A public comments.
So before you vote, we will hear.
Okay, I thought that she made a motion to amend the minutes.
Yeah.
And-
seconded that.
and I seconded it. So now I'm making a motion to approve the minutes as amended, I thought.
You don't need to, but let's hold on the
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
The motion's already been made. What you would be doing, you second her motion.
Uh-huh.
You'd be approving the motion as amended, if you
Okay.
will, the minutes amended. But before we take a vote on that, we need to hear the public comment.
Perfect, thank you.
We can recap the motion after.
Alter, you may your mic.
Is this a commenter on the minutes? Are you,
We need to verify.
okay.
Are you able to assist?
Yeah.
Can we
I asked on you. It should be working.
Ron, would you like to make a comment on the meeting minutes?
I think his mic is muted.
Okay, can move on, thank you, being a vote.
Okay, sorry, we do have one in-person public commentary application.
Sorry. We'll close after the public comment. For the public, the minutes, if you will. I would suggest you close that.
Comment on this item before we.
Are you speaking on the minutes right now?
Yeah.
Okay, if you could go ahead and speak then, please.
A few good nights at the community.
Just wanted
I, isn't the
Reviewing the minutes and looking at the agenda from the previous meeting. I noticed that when staff does a presentation, it's not added separately anywhere, either to the agenda or to the minutes. And so, for example, Rebecca Moss, Senior Management Analyst, did a fabulous presentation last time. I believe you did have a PowerPoint, maybe I'm wrong. But that PowerPoint, the only record of it is in the recording of the meeting. So I'd like to ask this committee to please consider asking staff after they do presentations to upload it and attach it either to the minutes or to the agenda. I think it'd be really valuable for everyone and it would give greater transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. For our bylaws, we can make brief responses, and I would like to say this is an IT issue that we are actively working on and thank everybody for their consistency. Thank you. Pardon me, could you mind saying that participant panel from the?
Okay, now we will vote on the motion. Right. The motion's already on the table.
The motion
Already, and you're
and
voting.
then, yeah, amend the minutes as presented by Vice Chair Bakota, seconded by Chair Williams. Now Tracy can take the roll call.
Chair Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bakota,
Yes.
Committee Member Chen,
Yes.
Committee Member Lee, Committee Member Knapper,
Yes.
Committee Member Noda Shen,
Yes.
Committee Member Tran.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we will now consider committee business item number 2, which is the election of officers. Those participating via Zoom may now raise their hand electronically to enter their speaker queue. The recommended action for this item is to elect a chair and vice chair. Rebecca has a presentation for us.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And if we can ask for the, yes, election of Chair and Vice Chair. Thank you so much. Still not, apologies, I'll be.
That's okay.
Thank you. So we wanted to give a brief overview of the election of chair and vice chair. This is required by our bylaws. So these officer positions shall consist, once again, of a chair and a vice chair for 1 year. They are selected every January. The chair will preside at all meetings as Tim is demonstrating. And we represent the committee before city council or appoint other members to do so. You're all, of course, welcome to attend city council as well. But to speak on behalf of the committee is typically asked of the chair. The vice chair shall perform the duties of the chair in the chair's absence or disability and shall perform such other duties as from time to time as assigned by the chair. And if you're interested in this position, we do provide for the script, so I know it may seem intimidating to hear the procedure, but we're satisfied to support. And anybody who is interested, we would love for you to think about that now before the nomination period opens. Next slide, please. And just a brief overview of where this committee stands in relation to the rest of the city. Policymaking and legislative authority are vested in the city council, where they adopt legislation, set policy, adjudicate issues, appoint commissioners and committee members, and establish the budget for the city. We see, the residents at the top, they elect the city council, and the city council hires the city manager who oversees city staff, and the city council also appoints commission and committee members, as you see on this graph. So the city manager then implements city council policy and laws and oversees the day-to-day operations of the city as the administering head of government. Next slide, please. Again, the city operates under a council manager form of government. Commissions and committees, such as this, assist and advise the city council in formulating and implementing policies and develop recommendations and present supporting information to the city council to elect in their policy making and decision making. Each of you are considered subject matter experts in our community, and the council truly values your insight on these subject matters. Next slide, please. And again, staff's role is being involved about the latest developments, providing administrative support, giving background perspective, assisting the committee moving through their business, interpreting laws, and alerting committee members to any concerns relating to your business. Next slide, please. Yeah, so meeting protocol agendas are posted 7 days prior to the meeting. You all are prepared for the meetings that adhere to the Brown Act. Public commenters may testify to any agenda item or non-agenda items as outlined in our bylaws and on the agenda. And committee members may make brief announcements on their own activities within the purview of the committee. Next slide, please. So our recommended action for today is the selection of officers of chair and vice chair. And I will now open the floor for nominations for the individual position of chair. Nominations do not require a second. Are there any nominations for chair?
I nominate Taryn to continue in her role as chair.
Thank you. There any additional nominations for the position of chair?
Chair Williams, I assume you are okay with that nomination?
My tenure was too short.
I will now entertain a motion to close the nomination period and elect Chair Williams to serve for the ensuing year.
Oh, I move that we elect Williams to serve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it was moved by committee member Dakota, Vice Chair Dakota, and seconded by committee member Napper to close the nomination period and elect Chair Terry Williams to serve as chair for the ensuing year. Tracy, please conduct a roll call vote.
Chair Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bakota,
Yes.
Committee Member Chen,
Yes.
Committee Member Lee, Committee Member Nepper,
Yes.
Committee Member Noda Shen,
Yes.
Committee Member Tran.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations. Thank you. So we see. Vice Chair, I will now open the floor for nominations for the individual position of Vice Chair. Nominations do not require a second. Are there any nominations?
I make a motion to nominate Wendy to continue in her role.
Is there a nomination?
So you take that nomination?
Yes.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to close the nomination period and elect Vice Chair Bakota to serve as Vice Chair once again for the ensuing. Okay. Do you have a motion?
So move.
A second. A second. Sure. It was moved by committee member Napper and seconded by committee member Notashen to close the nomination period and elect Vice Chair Bakota to serve as Vice Chair for the ensuing year. Tracy, please conduct a roll call vote.
Chair Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bakota.
Bad behavior. Yes.
Committee Member Lee, Committee Member Napper,
Yes.
Committee Member Noda Shen,
Yes.
Committee Member Tran.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
I'm gonna call this for Terry. You're so qualified. All right, now for the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, one more.
Oh, man.
The calendar.
I was very excited.
Unless you're talking about the calendar.
I'm so excited for this calendar, but calendar is not number.
Do we have number 3?
It is in your packet. There's, it looks, it's in our last thing.
Oh.
Request for committee.
Oh.
And then there is a list. I'll give you a list too.
You can take that on if you find it.
So we're just. Okay.
That might be a brief presentation, like,
Okay.
I'm confused. Where is that supposed to be in the agenda?
No.
Oh. Right here. It's just that that's not the next thing. That is not, where is that?
Page 7 of the.
Oh, I thought that was the. Okay, we will now consider committee business item number 3, which is the 2026 DEI Advisory Committee regular meeting calendar. Those participating via Zoom may now raise their hand electronically to enter the speaker queue. And then there's a staff presentation.
Yes. Not a PowerPoint for this one, but just wanted to point out that for the information in our RFCA, staff have outlined a calendar with meeting dates for our bylaws on the 4th Thursday of almost each month. The variations include November 19th, which is the third Thursday of November, because the fourth Thursday is Thanksgiving. Our bylaws state that the meeting would then come on the next business day, but for consistency, we're proposing that the meeting be still a Thursday, but a week prior. And then we are considering the following meeting date cancellations, which are consistent with past practice by other committees and the council. One of them is in September, which staff will be at the statewide cities conference. Of course, if you would wish to meet that month, we will find a staff member who can conduct your business for you. It's up to you. And then the fourth Thursday of December is December 24th, which is a holiday. And you can consider alternative if you would still wish to meet in December. Typically, it's been 50-50 with whether the committee has met in December due to holiday travel and other things. So once again, we defer to the committee about what you would like for your schedule, but this is a good step.
It's the appropriate time to ask the question. If an issue came up, could we request an ad hoc meeting if we don't have the September and the December? Is that something that's done?
Yes, and the procedures outlined in your bylaw, I don't have it exactly at the top of my head, but there is a procedure for meetings to arise at other times.
How did we arrive at the fourth Thursday?
This was determined by council when they approved the bylaws for the committee. I would say that other commissions and committees meet on other days of the month. For example, some are fourth Wednesday. There's essentially a public meeting almost every day. And so to not conflict with participation in other public meetings, this was sort of the space that was available. So we could overlap with other public meetings. But it would have to go to council should the full standing calendar want to be reconsidered. We can certainly facilitate that if that's the committee's wish.
Okay, we will now consider public testimony. Tracy, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
There are no requests to speak on this item.
Any members, are there any additional questions or discussion on this agenda item?
So, we had scheduled a tour of the Great Park. Is that gonna be rescheduled for this year or?
Yes, and that was supposed to be in substitution of the November 20th meeting last year, and it got rained out. Yes, we will facilitate and reschedule and have it for reporting more.
Thank you. I just want to say I appreciate the staff, looking at the calendar and other holidays or cultural events. And I mean, from what I see it, there is not a conflict. And so I appreciate.
Well, my birthday is May 21st.
Was it so last year too? I feel like I be
Well,
here.
Chair.
Or with this
Make a recommendation.
I really don't care. I'm just being silly.
Now we remember that though.
And always,
Okay, birthday, happy birthday.
and given that any needs arise throughout the year, there are outlines in our bylaws for how the calendar can be reconsidered, and that would be publicly shared as well.
The recommended action for this item is to approve the proposed 2026 DEI committee regular meeting. I make a motion to approve the proposed 2026 DEI committee regular meeting calendars. Yes, calendar.
A second.
Yeah, accented.
Motion by Chair Williams, seconded by committee member Chen.
Tracy, can you- Sure. Chair Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dakota,
Yes.
Committee Member Chin,
Yes.
Committee Member Lee, Committee Member Napper,
Yes.
Committee Member Zimmer Shen,
Yes.
Committee Member Tran,
Yes.
motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We will now consider committee business item number 4, which is the Office of Inclusive Excellence update. Those participating via Zoom may now raise their hand electronically to speak into this, or to enter the speaker queue. We will now have a staff presentation.
I have a question. I was under the impression, I believe last time we had public comment before the presentation. I thought public comment comes before anything regarding the item.
Those presentation the first round of comments, public comments, and then we return to the committee for further discussion that follows the input from the committee.
Is that how city council? I feel like with city council, there's always public comment before any
City
presentation.
council is presentation, then public comments. Staff presents first and then public comments after.
The vote is always after public comments and presentation.
So look up the agenda. I really thought it was different.
Certainly look into that as well, but we use the same procedure for each meeting as president.
And you use the same procedure as the city council.
I can't personally speak to that, sounds like. Yes.
Okay. Or you can certainly take it out of order if there's a desire to have public speech or presentation, if you'd like to do that.
I mean, they're here. I just want to make sure we don't run out of time. I would like to hear comments because that informs then, anything else personally.
I think because the comments are supposed to be about the presentation, that it makes sense to do the presentation first. So that the members of the public can make comments based on the information that they received as well. But we could definitely vote on it. Does anyone else on the committee have an opinion?
With what one? With what criteria, that's too. It seems like there was some information here. Stuff presented that might be helpful prior to the public.
Okay, so I propose we continue in the regular format and then we can look up, or we can have staff look it up later to see if we've done it differently in the past or discuss potential alternatives to future formatting. In the meantime, let's do the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. So my name is Rebecca Moss. I am working in the city manager's office and I would like to provide a long-awaited update on the Office of Inclusive Excellence. As you may recall from our request for committee action, that name is being proposed for review as well. Next slide, please. So you may recall this slide from our last meeting, but the city is recognized as one of the most diverse cities in the country with more than 318,000 residents. And we have various commitments to ensuring that folks living in our community are treated with fairness and have access to equitable services. Next slide, please. So just some background on council direction. To date, the DEI resolution was passed by the city council in 2021. And that outlines how they want members of every city department to be involved in inclusive practices. Other things that were passed in 2021 include the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW resolution. In 2022, the DEI committee was formed by the council with specific focus areas on city employment, city contracting. Sorry, the abbreviations represent the departments that may be primarily involved in this. So city employment, human resources, or all, city contracting, administrative services, or all departments, hate crimes and incidents, which is primarily public safety, the city's diversity campaign, which is a partnership with the city manager's office, communications and engagement team that touches all departments, and then CEDAW, which involves internal practices with HR. It involves eliminating violence against women, which involves public safety, and also touches all departments. In 2023, the city council allocated $200,000 in funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion consultative services. And the Office of Inclusive Excellence was voted in by the council in 2024. And next slide, please. So a little bit more background on the establishment of the office. In November 2024, the Irvine City Council approved council-initiated motions from the then mayor, Eric Kahn, that staff establish an Office of Inclusive Excellence and work with the committee on an implementation timeline and exploration of community needs. And you may note that this is a little bit out of the typical order of practice for the establishment of different initiatives in the city. However, when the council makes a motion, it is up to staff to carry that out. And the council is open to a name change for this initiative. Next slide, please. So the exact motion voted on by the council on November 12th, 2024 was to direct staff to establish an Office of Inclusive Excellence and work with the DEI committee to create an implementation timeline, including a study if needed, that includes recommended organizational structure, a staffing plan, budget and resource allocation, and key initiatives and programs aligned to the adopted DEI resolution. Again, that document is from 2021. It's on our website on the DEI committee page. The second point from the motion was conduct community and stakeholder engagement listening sessions that are including language not done, not proper grammar, but local DEI leaders, nonprofits, cultural organizations, businesses, community groups, and interfaith organizations. And this is taken from the minutes of the November 2024 meeting. The next slide, please. So as you saw, the council has asked us to staff to work with the committee on an implementation timeline. So some things that are proposed for what could happen with this office on the internal side with staff. We're establishing and naming the office for council direction. And you'll see in that bottom line with the advisory committee, we would love your insight on the name. Staff, again, are working with the executive team, the city council, and the committee on what they would like this body of work to be, and continuing internal work for quality service delivery. Externally, the office is proposing moving forward with a survey of community needs, potentially having a consultant come on board to advise the strategic plan, and we would like to produce a 2026 impact report. What that means is you'll also see on the committee website, we in 2022 produced what's called the year one report, the DEI committee. It has different information about the demographics of the city, how many hate crimes have been reported through our portal, what some of our contracting and hiring practices are, how many different diverse community events have been hosted, et cetera. So we hope that by compiling information about current practices, since the committee has been ongoing for a couple additional years.
Yes, can I ask a question right now, or
Certainly.
that impact report, I'm sorry, where is that?
So,
online, and who
this
has
is-
created that?
The Communications and Engagement Department created this. It is on the committee's webpage, actually. That's one of the links. So the DEI resolution referenced, this impact report, the CDAW resolution referenced, the bylaws for the committee, and all documents relating to the committee and its related buckets of work are on the DEI committee.
I'm sorry, the Communications and Engagement Office or Division, or is that in the City Manager's Office? Or
That is its own distinct division of the city. And that department did not exist at the time of this creation. Our graphic designers were part of the city manager's office at the time. So there are multiple former staff members who worked on this initiative. You can see the names of different staff members who have worked on this on the various minutes of past city actions. Thank you. So for externally, let's see, advisory committee. So again, today we're asking you to advise the name Office of Social and Community Impact, which is proposed, and we'll speak on a little bit more later. That would again just be the name of the internal practice. That would be changing Office of Inclusive Excellence for the staff member who is herself to Office of Social and Community Impact. And just for some additional context, that is a precedent in the city. For example, we have Office of Multicultural Affairs, who helps with the sister city relationship. That is one staff member in the Communications and Engagement Department. But the city feels that we all work collaboratively together, that per the DEI resolution, the council has tasked every city department with working on these tasks. So we really imagine my position as somebody who works with folks in every department for additional oversight, for additional ability to present things to the committee and make sure that our practices are involved with every department. We're also asking the committee, we're gonna help you focus on your pillar areas, which we went over in a previous slide, as well as advise recommendations from the community survey or potential recommendations should we move forward with a consultant. Next slide, please. So internally, just to give you an update on some things that might be happening internally for this effort. Sorry for the big box. There's actually some code on there that Chitra, one of our amazing IT people, developed. And because this is all public, I don't want people to take her code. But it's an initiative that the DEI internal liaison group previously worked on. It was rolled out to staff earlier this month. This is a tool that promotes inclusion by giving contacts the confidence to properly pronounce staff members' names. You can't really see it on there, but if any of you would like to email me, I have this in my email signature. It's a little speaker emoji next to my name, and when you click it, it says that it opens up a web page that has an audio file that says how my name is pronounced out loud. I can't say anybody has ever mispronounced Rebecca Moss, but it really gives us confidence as we work with residents in the community who maybe, you know, they're having a plan check and they're scared to call their plan checker back, so they want to make sure they pronounce their name properly. It's really a tool that we hope can help people internally and with the public that we work with that feel more confident addressing people by their name, which everybody deserves to have.
So this DEI internal liaison group, where does that exist?
It does that right now. This was a previous initiative that was come up. There is no internal liaison group. This is something that was put together many,
It says it was rolled out earlier this month.
yes, this actual name coach was rolled out. This is a recommendation from a group that was existing previously by the previous staff member that served on this board.
Okay, I mean, I've never heard of it. Is anybody here?
The members who were previously on the board and are familiar with it.
Okay, okay,
And that group is
That's not an active group any longer. It was a former staff member who put together, not former staff member who formerly served on this committee that put together an internal working group. That working group is not active any longer. And one of the recommendations of that working group was this name coach that Rebecca is sharing. That name coach has taken some time to actually come out to implementation. And so that was rolled out within the stuff.
And my intention with this slide is to demonstrate different progress that's being made internally. Once again, we feel that every department, every person, every department is tasked with making sure that the work they do can touch all members of our community in the way that folks can receive city services without barriers. So we're really excited to share that so many initiatives have been with individual staff members that we don't need to necessarily say, oh, only a few people are DPI. We feel that the council has tasked us with making that part of the entire city of operations. Next slide, please. And we just spoke about the potential impact report. So once again, staff is proposing that we move forward with a 2026 version of an impact report. And again, the name Office of Social and Community Impact Award ties into that. We feel that this name being proposed is a little bit more evergreen. We feel it brings more people in and helps people feel more included than prior names. Also, the name Office of Inclusive Excellence is used by University of California system, such as UCLA and UCI. And in Irvine, we like to make sure our initiatives are more unique. So that's one of the reasons behind changing the name as well. So these, next slide, please. So while we do have a staff recommendation here, I want to again remind you all with the advisory committee, the council has tasked staff with carrying out certain initiatives and to work with you all to make sure that those initiatives have your insight, your oversight, your recommendation. So we would love your, discuss and advising recommendations for the office and what the office may be able to do, including community surveying and production of a 2026 impact report. And we would love for you to discuss and advise an updated name for the office and potentially, give your blessing, so to say, on the Office of Social and Community Impact. I do want to be clear that the actions are advisory in nature. So we would love your insight, but we've been tasked with the council with moving forward with work, and work will move forward. We want to incorporate your insight. So I do also have sort of a slide I'm going to pull up in a moment that if you among yourselves when you discuss make other recommendations, I'll make sure to write that all out. So if you do make motions later in the meeting, we can read exactly what your recommendations are for data. And as far as community surveying goes, I know there'll probably be questions about that. A reason we want to utilize the part of the $200,000 for community surveying is that the city, of course, feels that we're consistently striving to reach new communities. But we are limited in some ways. We use email communication, social media, various methods. But we're hoping to reach pockets of the community that are not signed up for our email list, that are not typically engaged with the city, and make sure that we get their insight so they feel they have the opportunity to provide what could help them as residents and be more engaged with us. And we feel a consultant who does this work, who has even the language, like, specifically proper analysis of the results. We feel they could help, bring information back to you all so you can make decisions about what you'd like to recommend. And, that concludes my presentation at this time. Let me just slide it up. Yeah, questions and feedback from the committee, and then, I defer to you about what you'd like to hear the public. commenters.
Will we have a chance to have questions and feedback after the public commenters?
Yes, it always circles back, so,
Okay,
you'll
let's see it here. See here.
Are there any questions or discussion?
Oh, following, got it, okay, got it, thank you.
Okay. So first I will ask now if my colleagues have, any comments at this time.
Thank you for that presentation.
I guess my primary comment now, after having met with my city council member again, is just that this committee is being asked to advise on the contours of an office that council felt like hadn't been evaluated, or I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. Council hasn't yet been evaluated, or hasn't yet evaluated. I'm trying to think of what I want to say. Do you have a comment first?
I mean, that's my comment. I wanted to hear public comment, but I agree. This sort of presentation is what the city council was asking to hear in their evaluation of what the office looks like, and it's not within our purview to look at the structure of an office and budget and all of those things, but I'll save my comments, I think, for after.
Let me respond to that. It is in your purview to make recommendations to the council.
About budget and
You
staffing.
can make
and-
recommendations to that.
Okay, I didn't see it in the bylaws.
One more response, you can make recommendations regarding that. Absolutely. One of the other comments regarding a public record request, staff always does research regarding any new initiative out there. So research conducted by staff that works for me regarding what is conducted in other cities is completely normal. When we go to the budget department and ask for research and information is presented back, by no means is that indicating that there are any new expenditures that are going to be conducted. So just be very clear that we have indicated that Rebecca Mott is the staff of the office. There are no new expenditures being proposed for this office.
I was trying to form my thought while I was thinking. I guess my concern after communicating with the council member is that they haven't yet received that information that they had explicitly requested. And so in the language, earlier we discussed that the order by which this was happening was different, but the word implementation can only really occur before implementing an office. So I'm still wondering if there's confusion based on the language on what council thinks is happening and what staff thinks is happening, because it doesn't sound, still after many meetings, it doesn't sound like council thinks that the office is continuing before the research has been done.
And we heard that at the last council meeting, it was continued, they asked for it to come back. I know Liliana, you were there to make a presentation. City Council Member Betty Martinez Franco's continued the item, asked for it to come back. The mayor asked for it to come back. Councilmember Carroll was very confused, asked for it to come back. So that's where it should come back. So with all of this information, that was the confusion. So my council member is also confused.
And again, that is why I provided the comment that it is slightly out of the typical order of operations. And there has been, leadership changeover. That was a different city council. The members that currently sit were not yet, that the body as it exists now is not that same body. And we've had leadership changes on multiple levels as well. So the motion made by council, we do not sit here as our individual selves. We sit here as staff directed by the city council. We strictly adhere to the city manager's direction per the city council's motion. So we appreciate all of these comments, and barring additional action by the city council, this is what we've been tasked with.
So, but they're saying, like, as of even an hour ago, that the implementation timeline was never done. The office was created without an implementation timeline. So if we're going off of what council requested and council, including members who voted, are saying that's not the order that they're confused. I don't know what to do with this anymore because everyone is super confused and members of council keep saying that that's not what they asked for.
Maybe I jump in. So we're looking for a recommendation. Staff has taken the appropriate channels to update council in addition to the city manager to update them on the presentations occurring this evening and anything that has transpired since the last meeting that has occurred here. So we have taken the proper channels to be able to move forward. And so if there's recommendations that the committee would like to make this evening, tonight is the evening to be able to make any of those recommendations.
I have a question, and just to clarify, so with the impact report that's going to be created, and then with community surveying, this is a part of the process that's beginning. And so with that, then that will affect the implementation timeline, is what I'm thinking, because that's what city council asked for, was to create an implementation timeline. So with those two, with that feedback from the community and with the impact report, then it could be assessed and looked at, and then the timeline would come at another time.
That's not
So
what I
what is
understand.
the,
Understand that.
what is
Can
it?
the chairman please scroll over?
I have a follow-up question. In that case, then what do you anticipate being implemented if the office already exists?
Well, the office is existing, but what is the actual, what is the office going to do?
That's fine. Right.
Right,
So,
so
that's
depending on the feedback from the community surveying and with the information that we received from the impact report, there would be more information to discuss.
Yes.
To
So
discuss this ongoing process.
how we interpret this council direction is that, they established the office, but what the office does was directed for staff to work with the DEI committee. And again, with the guidance of the city manager, to find out. So we feel that identifying the means for what we do, a survey would be helpful, a community survey to make sure that we're impacting the community in the best way. The results of that survey are recommended to be brought back to the committee for further discussion.
But again, the order is wrong. I mean, there, in the last city council meeting, I heard it was either the city manager or the city attorney say, because Councilmember Carroll asked, does an office exist? They said, no, an office does not exist. We're waiting for the timeline. What I'm reading here today is an office already exists. So any discussion we have is assuming that an office exists without having this information that was requested by the council, which would then inform what this office might look like, what the budget might look like, and all of those things. And we don't have that information, so it's an unknown. So to say that it is out of order, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And this is the same place we were at last DEI meeting, and we heard a lot of public comment. And to be honest, I thought we would have moved forward. And we're at the same place we were because the city council requested the information, and then the implementation timeline and suggestions would then come after that information, prior to.
Let me jump in really quick. So the Office of Inclusive Excellence, Office of Social Impact, whatever the recommendation will be, can certainly take the role of the resolution, anything that's been passed. So I just want to be very clear. The office can certainly conduct anything that's been approved previously, which there is an entire resolution for DEI. Anything new that would like to be incorporated, now is the opportunity for the committee to weigh in on. I understand that there's concerns about the sequencing, but to Rebecca's point, staff is moving forward with implementation of the office. And so now is the opportunity to provide feedback of what you would like included. You're certainly welcome to provide a recommendation, as you guys were discussing at the last meeting, to be able to provide to council. Now is the opportunity to discuss that and make any recommendations. We are moving forward with conducting the survey to be able to move this office forward. Some of the comments that we have heard in the past for the DEI committee is the frustration regarding the lack of progress or the lack of substantive work. That is our intent to be able to move forward, is to conduct a survey, to be able to receive feedback from the community on areas that they would like this office to work on. In addition, to be able to move forward with some of the things Rebecca's already indicated. We have an entire resolution that talks about what DEI is able to do. It is very extensive with areas of community can oversee, if you will, and that the council has already outlined. So there's already areas that this office is responsible for, if you will.
But it-
Now is the opportunity for the committee members to weigh in. I understand that there's feedback regarding the sequencing of that. Staff is trying to move forward again with the direction that we have received on implementing. There is an office that exists already.
Firstly, I think the confusion is going back to the council. I think they are confused. But they'll make us confused what they're saying. So I don't think they're really being openly to us, but we don't really want to do. They don't want to do a policy. They don't want to process. They want to get a, talking about the issue. I think what I think, she does next week, just go back again to council and ask for clarification what they really want us to do or what they do. Today, I think the one thing that stuck out in my mind was, as we do this implementation for it, it's getting very complicated. The name has changed. It's become a blanket statement. I think the core died, they've been lost for obvious reasons. They don't want to call it that. So they're creating another name that I would say trickery, but just to not sound like so divisive, which I think the troubles me a little bit because I think.
Well, if I may add, the council has not suggested this name.
Yeah,
The staff initiated name based on research. This was not attached to.
And the alternative was Office of Inclusive Excellence.
So
which
it's
is
up for discussion if the
Yeah,
committee would like
that's
to
what
make a
I'm-
different recommendation.
yeah, so recreation is always getting more and more like that here. And I think they're just shying away from the fact that it's, I guess, it's raining. My suggestion is I think we should still talk to our council members and get a really clear answer what they want us. Because,
I'm curious, is there anyone here, maybe aside from council or not council member Chen, committee member Chen, have y'all spoken to your council members about this item?
I have not talked to Carol yet. Yeah, I'm scheduled.
So, I think part of my frustration also is a little bit with the committee because we had this, conversation a couple of months ago. So there have been several months to discuss with council members. I, for one, have had multiple conversations with my council member and my council member team and have participated in the council meetings as well. And I guess in terms of a vote or a motion or a recommendation, I personally cannot weigh in on the structure or the naming of an office that the council has advised me they didn't approve. That's kind of where I'm sitting because I don't want to go against what has been happening in council. And I want to make sure that I'm being true to the good faith vote of my council member as well.
And I've talked to my council member many times. There has been new information that did come from the public records request that has made her confused, and I have heard that it has made others confused as to what the scope actually is. And again, the order of it is important because the expectation is that there would be community serving and input and all of these things to then determine the scope. I don't want to sort of have this committee vote on something and then have it be sort of rubber stamped that we've approved something and then it doesn't change. And so then, the council has had no input onto what the scope looks like. I think that you were going to do that at the last meeting and provide some, I assume you were going to make a presentation, Liliana, you were there until the end. And then Councilmember Martinez Francis, she continued it. And so to me, the expectation from that council meeting to this meeting would have been that there would have been another presentation to the council with, the research or with the budget. And that hasn't happened. And then a presentation would come to us once they've voted on it, given that information, and then we would start to then give more input into what that looks like. So I would be in favor of it going back to the council, because I think there's just been a lot of new information that has come up that has caused quite a bit more confusion now in seeing things that were discussed, but we didn't know about them. Council members didn't know about them. Maybe one did, but others didn't.
Share, vice chair, what do you mean that there's information?
Oh,
that's been-
that came out of the public record, like, for example, this budget item, 977,000, that's very different than there will be no increase in the.
So what I just
Right.
mentioned to you is that myself, city staff, and staff that works for me always conducts research regarding what neighboring cities, we always compare ourselves to what we call the top 10, top 15 cities. So when you're looking at San Diego, Long Beach, Irvine within the top 10 cities, always look at those cities as comparison, if you will, because of population. That's a particular category that the city falls within. We always conduct research of what neighboring cities does for something similar. That is what that email showed.
But
There's just a cost estimate.
One moment, let me finish, please. We then go to budget and we indicate if an office was to be structured on what an office would look like in comparison to what another city is. That is what that email indicates. Is how much money an office can look like compared to what another city looks like. Nowhere do you find another email that indicates we're moving forward with any kind of budget allocation because it's simply research. There's nothing nefarious about the research. Research is conducted all the time by city staff. It is always something that we do as best practice. Every single time.
why
So
was
the
it?
characterization, can I please finish?
Sorry.
The characterization that staff is out there doing nefarious things is not accurate. It's not accurate.
I never suggested anything nefarious. I am suggesting that I'm not sure why this research was not presented to the public in the form of a city council meeting. My city council member was not aware of any of this research, and this is back in August, and we're now in January. And we were supposed to have a meeting, I think, that day, and it was canceled. And then there were multiple city council meetings. And so to
Back to
me,
Rebecca's point is the way that the, go ahead, if you're gonna say
Yeah,
that.
so, the process against the council manager form of government, once the council has set policy, they then entrust the city manager to carry out that policy. So once this council direction was established by the council, we do not present every bit of research to the council. They utilize commissions and committees to get more in the weeds on these matters. So the way this was directed is that we then work with the committee to have these conversations exactly here. And the council again has been briefed as recently as this week on existing matters. We look forward to hearing what all of your thoughts are and look forward to hearing what the community says. Our task at this moment, again, is our interpretation is fairly black and white at this moment, that there's an office and we want to move forward with some research. But the reason we don't have a bunch of things to bring to you as far as statistics is that we wanted to include you in that process. At this point, it has been many months, it has been quite a long time. So I want to be clear that we are looking to move forward with the city's process for procuring a survey vendor. If no decision is made today, that's also outlined in your recommendation for committee action. The committee may choose to make alternative recommendations or defer recommendations to a future meeting. That is completely up to you all. But I want you to know that we, barring your feedback, we will move forward with the information and the next steps that have been presented.
a lot of this information, like the past impact report, the MEI, DEI has been going on amazingly well in the city without an office. So I don't understand why we can't provide feedback and why we can't do all of this. We don't need to, again, out of sequence, we don't need to establish an office, which is just you apparently, and not based on this research here, or if it is potentially, that is very different number than no increase. So I know that's not what we're doing now, but if that is research that you've been doing, then clearly there is some thought that this is what it would expand to. So all of the serving and the gathering, that can already be done. What is the?
There's
the
not,
need
there's
for
not any,
office?
there's not any thought, I hear what you're saying, there's not any thought forward. Any expenditure for any kind of staff increase will always go back to council. So that is simply research, which is what we do all the time when we're doing any kind of best practice out there. I hear what you're saying, but there is no thought that we're going to slowly increase this office and this budget, and any kind of budget recommendation will go to the city council if there's anyone, and there's not a recommendation that staff has made.
So again, the culmination of that research is in the request for committee action that was attached to this item. We have been doing research since the council made this action. So again, we are excited to present to you today what has been decided so far, which is that I, an existing staff member and the office at this moment. Again, I wrote in here, this position will work collaboratively with leadership and existing staff in all city departments. You are one Irvine, you know, it is not just on my shoulders, it's not just on the committee, we work collaboratively for prior council action. And under the fiscal impact, I encourage folks to look at the action from May 23rd, 2023, if they'd like to look into how these funds were appropriated. But the funds remain available and may be utilized in part for the proposed community survey, and as outlined here, no additional funding is proposed. And I just want to make a note about time quickly.
Yeah.
We do have about 40 minutes left in the meeting. We'll probably have about 30 minutes of public comment, so try something to. Okay.
So
Yes,
the office is, you're the first step for the office.
I am the staff of the
Okay.
office. No additional
Okay.
staff is proposed at this
Oh,
time.
yeah, we did that, that's what's up.
Sorry, this is the request for committee action that was attached to item 4. So this has been on our website since last Thursday.
And, I'm sorry. And this wasn't opened up, this position was not opened up.
It was not, so staffing is allocated to the city manager's discretion, and the city manager's process made an internal selection, which is also part of the course for several actions in the city.
In terms of the name of the office, do we need to vote on that now?
You do not, we would certainly love your insight. You know, we're sharing this in a public forum because if there's anything about the name that, you know, allows us to think more deeply about making sure we're being inclusive with this effort, we want to hear it before moving forward with anything. How I imagine that name may be utilized is, for example, there may be a page on the city's website that says Office of Social and Community Impact. And there may be different city resources related to our inclusive practices that would live on that website. And then more to come as the committee determines different ways that that we can work together. So that's kind of how we'll be presented.
It sounds like the city has already decided that that is the name.
This is our staff recommendation, and barring an additional recommendation from you all tonight, that is the name that we would move forward with, but we would love to hear from you all in the community about that at this point.
Can we see other options that were considered before settling on that one? Because that would help kind of.
Do you have other options, Rebecca? It's just a working title that.
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, there were some like Office of Belonging and Equity, you know, Office of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion. Those are some of the front runners that we considered.
It just sounds a little redundant to say Office of Social and Community. I'm sorry, I don't know what I can't remember what the last word is. Impact. I mean, community, I think, implies social. You can't have a community unless people are social with each other. So I think something less redundant would be good. I do actually tend to agree with Chan about the name. Trying to get away from DEI. I mean, I understand why, but this moment eventually will pass. And it's still always gonna, I mean, even now, colloquially, we still say DEI and everybody knows what that is. If you go and say Office of CSI or SCI, nobody knows what that is. And 20 years from now, I think it will still be this concept
this phenomenon is still gonna be called DEI. So why not just name it DEI and stick with that? And it's something that everybody already knows and that it's already, when we talk to other cities and other governments, it's already a currency that everybody understands, that we don't have to say like, oh, we have a DEI office and it's called this other thing.
So in terms of what some other cities call it, and I just want to make clear also, by no means was staff trying to not call it Office of DEI. This was a recommendation that was brought forward to the city council to call it Office of Inclusive Excellence previously. And so there's discussion about if that name fits, because like Rebecca said, it's more
already something there
associated,
with
yeah,
that. Yeah.
there's already something associated with that. So that's all that was.
Yeah.
But there's many different names that you can call the office. So if you'd like to make a recommendation to continue calling it the Office of DEI, that's certainly fine. But there's no intent for staff to take away. It's just a continuation of the discussion that council received.
Have you had any communication with Long Beach? I've talked with some of the staff people.
Not at this. If that's something you would like us to do, we're certainly
No,
open.
we've done research online. We haven't spoken. I think the only other agency we've spoken to was County of Los Angeles, and that was because the former committee members did some work with one of the, I think, consultants or members from that particular organization.
I'd say primarily, the initiatives in other government agencies do have more unique, names at this point.
So like, we're here just, volunteers, just trying to offer assistance. The amount of pushback tonight is the most I've seen staff. We did a recommendation, we discuss, we've given you information tonight, a new name, and every time we bring up our concerns, there's a pushback of, well, you're wrong. This is how we always do it. This is how it's done, So I think it'd be nicer if we just have more of a, like collective identity instead of just having to always put perspective to staff tonight. I feel like we get that a lot tonight.
I certainly appreciate your comments. My intention is simply to be clear. I don't want anybody to leave this room not being clear with what next steps may be. So my apologies that is not coming off as collaborative.
Yeah, because like the budget, I mean, we're new to this as well too. So of course, we don't know how the inner workings of a city staff is. So apologies from us, we don't understand that, but give us some time to analyze it. So that's what I got tonight, basically.
That's not my intent. Our intent is to answer the questions and to try to provide some information to the committee in hopes of maybe taking some next steps forward.
Chair, if I may, the DEI resolution, is it possible to bring it up on the
Yes, can
website?
you pull up my
We can see
slideshow?
what we're doing.
So there's if you go back to the questions, that slide at the end, if you just skip forward, please, thank you. One slide after questions and feedback. Yep, right here, please. So I have this available, so again, this is adopted in 2021 prior to the formation of the committee. The city reaffirms its commitment to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and commits to ending racial and other disparities within city government, creating fairness in hiring and promotions, greater opportunities within contracting, and equitable service to all residents. To help us identify measurable equity goals and outcomes, staff will gather and analyze relevant data pertaining to the problem of racial and other inequities, including but not limited to initiating review of the current demographics of city employees and contractors. Staff will also review current city policies and guide the council on revising policies that do not meet diversity, equity, and inclusion, including but not limited to the city's outreach process for contracting and recognition of women, minority, and disadvantaged businesses through our business licensing program. Staff will establish a DEI committee that will provide input on the needs of the community and advise the council in meeting its goals. So this work has been ongoing since 2021 by executive leaders and city departments as they direct their staff, and then later through the committee as well.
I would suggest that we hear from public comment, people have been waiting.
Okay, we will have time to discuss further after comments, so I'm inclined to agree. Let's consider public testimony. Tracy, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Yes, Chair, thank you. At this time, we have 4 speakers in person and 4 speakers on Zoom.
At this time, there are fewer than 10, so you will get 3 minutes. If a few more people trickle in, it will then switch to 2 minutes per speaker.
Kara? Or she goes to the form.
Okay.
I'm Joanne. I'm sorry?
I'm Joanne. Is it
Joanne,
okay to go first? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. Would you mind distributing this information? Today I'm watching it, it's supposed to be that collaborative effort. I really appreciate that. I was hearing about that because there wasn't collaborative effort. It was almost like you were bossing everybody and saying, this is how it's gonna be. And, it's supposed to be a collaborative. They're supposed to be helping you, you're supposed to be helping them. But there's so much communication missing, like nobody knew what was actually going on. That'd be if there's supposed to be a committee and you guys aren't sharing all this information you've been doing since 2021. I don't understand. I'm gonna read it because I really go over. So before getting into my comments, I want to briefly explain about the handout you just received. The document titled Urgent DEI Note was written in direct response to the January 22nd, 2026 DEI Committee memo prepared by you guys. It outlined next steps for an Office of Inclusive Excellence. That memo also raised serious concerns about process and authority. The note was sent to City Council members. More than 20 residents raised the same concerns. We are giving you a copy tonight so you have the same exact content. And you can understand why residents are asking that this item pause and be returned to City Council before any further committee discussion or action. Seems like you put the cart before the horse. And you're saying, oh, you're agreeing, yes, we're out of order. And we just see that. Why can't we go back into the regular order? Is there some reason, like I feel bullied, like you're like, this is the way it is, we have the office, and there's no questions. We're just deciding how to implement it. It's supposed to be the other way around. Like, how do you know what you need? This one staff member, I think you're terrific, by the way, but it should be an inclusive process, okay? Thank you, commissioners. I want to acknowledge something that often gets overlooked. Every one of you is a volunteer resident. You are not city council members, you are not staff, and you do not have the legal authority to create city departments, approve staff, or authorize spending. That distinction matters tonight. City council directed staff to evaluate community needs, scope, staffing, and budget for an Office of Inclusive Excellence, and to return that information to City Council before any office could be implemented. Those conditions remain unmet. Council authorized study and recommendations, not implementation. Yet the materials before you today repeatedly refer to an office as if it's already operational. They reference limitations, staffing, reports, and timeliness. That places you in an impossible position. If you debate or advance this item, it creates the appearance that a volunteer advisory committee is validating actions that City Council has not finalized through lawful approval. That is not fair to you, and it is not fair to the public. Respectfully, the appropriate action tonight is not discussion. It's to pause and return this item to City Council for clarification and formal direction before any further committee action occurs. Thank you for your time.
The next speaker.
Stacy? I guess Carol.
A brief comment to that, the response from the city to the document that we provided to council members was compelled by me. And I have to share it with any resident or community member who requests our city response to the document.
First of all, I want to say to our wonderful committee, I want to remind you that you are responsible to your council person, but also to the public. Like, this is our taxpayer money. We pay a lot of taxes living in Irvine. It's expensive living here. And I actually find that the two of you are rather bullying tonight. They're asking very valid questions. They're asking questions trying to represent their council and their city the best. And you, the two of you, are just insisting that there's only one way to look at things, and it's really upsetting. I'm here to present the fact that I also received a letter from Mayor Irvine and from Betty, from Councilmember Martina. Franco. And her letter, I'll let you pass that. Her letter made it clear, oh, actually, one of them is with speech. Well, in any case, thank you. Her letter makes it pretty clear that there are transparency, legality, and proper council process issues that we brought up, and that they are going to be bringing this back to city council. Putting it on you guys as a volunteer committee seems really unfair. Why is the name changing so many times? I'll answer for you. This isn't a federal issue, although there are federal legality issues. This is that in California, Prop 209 prohibits you from having DEI. Let's just put that out there. That has not been investigated by the council. It needs to be, or you might have legal issues that you guys don't want to be a part of. Okay, that's Prop 209 that California citizens voted through. That's A. There's also federal issues with federal funding. There's also COVID funds tied to this. There are so many legal issues that I'm asking of you guys on behalf of our citizens to not get us in a legal mess, please, because that comes out of our pocket when there's a legal mess. Let the council debate this, decide this, take it to the city attorney, proper process, not have two people bully you into agreeing to an office that is out of step by their own words. Their own words are that this is out of process. Process should be council gets all the information you have there behind the scenes. They have behind the scenes information that none of us knew until I did a public records request, right? Behind the scenes, they found out how much this would cost. That wasn't brought to council. Council needs to know cost. Council needs to know what this is doing, this office is doing. You don't create an office and then figure out what the tasks are. That's ridiculousness. Because then you're basically opening it up to endless money that all of us are going to be paying for. And so I'm begging of you guys to send it back to council. That's where this belongs. It doesn't belong being obscured in a meeting that people don't know about. It belongs in front of the council where the public can come and debate it. Council members can represent their districts, and they are the representatives. And you guys, I appreciate you for having stood through this. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, committee members. I wish that you had an HR representative here with me tonight, because I really felt like there was some disrespectful behavior being verbalized towards the committee. And I want the staff to remember that you work for them. They are your taxpayers. And so you should never be talking to anybody the way that we heard you specifically speak to these committee members tonight. The nefarious research, nefarious allegations. You're the one doing the research. You're the one who's implementing the cost. Just because you researched other people's cities, you actually suggested a cost that would be implemented into our city, into the taxpayers. So I'm sorry, I wish there was an HR person here tonight to be able to witness how you were treated unnecessarily. And I'm just going to continue on with what I wrote. This proposal raises serious legal and funding concerns that are not within this committee's authority. First, California Proposition 209 that we voted on twice prohibits preferential treatment based on race, ethnicity, or sex in public employment and contracting. Any DEI office must be carefully structured to comply with that law. We have yet to read or see how this office is being structured, as it seems to have skipped the steps required as mentioned by Mayor Adrian in his letter exploring this office. Second, federal COVID relief funds were intended for pandemic recovery, not permanent administrative offices. Using those funds for consultant surveys or staffing tied to a DEI office raises legitimate compliance concerns. Furthermore, more deeper research shows that these funds should have been returned to the Treasury Department if not used. Just to be clear, these rules were issued by the Biden administration. It gives me great concern as a citizen of this city when a local government is misusing funds as won't that come out of our comes out of our taxpayer pocket at the end of the day. Third, Executive Order 14173, which rescinded prior affirmative action frameworks and directed a return to merit-based hiring reflects a broader policy shift away from DEI structures at the federal level and required of entitled entities that receive federal funding like our city. That federal context is directly relevant because it highlights how governing bodies are rethinking the role of DEI offices. Thank you. So I'm going to ask this committee to please vote no on this item. I feel like your confusion probably equals my confusion as a member of the public. But what I think is very important, especially things that you see in the news nowadays, is that the work of our city has to be transparent and accountable. And when you look at what the board, the city council voted on November 12th, it says, work with the DEI committee, which is all of you, on an implementation timeline. Did any of you receive an implementation timeline? I didn't see that in the presentation. It also says to work with you on the proposed structure. Did staff give you options? Did they even explain why one person is recommending themselves after getting a promotion to be the one person in the office? No, they did not. They should be explaining to you their rationale. I didn't hear that once. They're also supposed to work with you on the budget, resource allocation, and other aspects. When staff says, sorry, we're moving forward anyway, that doesn't give you an opportunity, first of all, to ask questions that you might have, to hear why staff is recommending what they're recommending, and to have a thoughtful, considerate, open, and above board discussion on what you think this office should do or should be, or how large it is. I feel like this committee at this point should just vote no. Now you have some information. You can work with staff to ask all your questions, work with your council, your city council members so they can ask their questions. And then let staff bring this back to you at a future meeting when you've understood the whys and the wherefores and what they're really recommending to you. So again, please vote no on this item. There's a lot of inconsistency. There's a lot of behind the scenes that I don't think staff is being upfront, open, and accountable about. And I really feel that it is a disservice to your expertise for you to vote on this tonight. Thank you.
I might make a quick comment. The motion or the recommended action is to have a discussion. So I'm not, is that discuss and advise? So there's not necessarily a yes or no vote. What's on the table is to have this discussion.
Well, maybe you need to push it to that day.
Okay. I just wanted clarification.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Or
Yeah, there's four on Zoom.
Okay.
Ron Elter, you may unmute your mic and speak at this time. Can you assist?
Am I here? You can hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm going to read my notes here. I moved here 30 years ago. We have the most robust, diverse city that I have ever been a part of. I'm 70 plus years old. I even grew up in West LA in the San Gabriel Valley. Very proud of our diversification over here. The community that we have is incredible and governs itself regarding diversification on its own merits. I personally don't believe we need a new office or department. The committee, yes. A new office or department, no. I don't think we should spend a nickel of taxpayer dollars to fund a department that I believe our HR department governs quite well as it stands. If we have extra dollars, I would suggest that we use it instead, if we need, for first responders, or to subsidize housing for our underpaid teachers so they can live locally and not have to drive from San Bernardino or Riverside. And that's how I would prefer, instead of creating an office that then will have us paying the pensions for these people for the next 30 years. I also have some other notes, so bear with me. Bear with me 1 second. Here it is. I'm normally speak in person, so I apologize trying to read all this. I want to speak about the greater issue at play here. Our government in Irvine, which started very small when I first moved here, it's all about keeping it simple and not allowing government overreach and a loss of transparency that often accompanies it. When I listened to everybody talk today, I felt like that's what was happening. I felt like I was looking at reading a Charles Dickens book, Great Expectations, where the author was paid by the word, because I couldn't figure out why so much was said for so little covered. Across the country, residences are increasingly concerned that government is growing larger, more complex, and less accountable. New offices are created, new titles appear, and new initiatives are launched, often without clear authorization, defined missions, more importantly, public understanding, or even public acceptance.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I accept it. Thank you very much. Good night.
That might be my favorite response. I accept it.
Julie, you may unmute your mic. She has.
Ron, that was amazing. I know.
There we
You
go.
just muted her. No, you're not gonna do it wrong. Julie, go ahead and speak. It just showed muted. Are you able to unmute?
Yeah.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So that people are not.
Super. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody. This is Julie Hyman from JCAN, the Jewish Community Action Network. I appreciate the opportunity to address the committee this evening. I've spoken before about concerns that the community has about a lack of transparency around what's going on with the Office of Inclusive Excellence that's been proposed, or I don't remember the new name, but it's a little bit alarming to me, the idea that it might be renamed, even though everybody understands it'll be doing DEI. And it's not, I don't want to impugn the intentions of anybody. I've made the remark before, but it bears repeating. Something that starts off with wonderful intentions, and I do believe in the good intentions of people trying to do DEI, just as we did in Santa Ana with people doing ethnic studies, which in its best form is a wonderful thing where we can learn about each other's cultures. When there's a lack of transparency and things go behind closed doors, and I'm not talking about the folks in this room, but down the road, because when something is stood up, when an office is stood up, it takes on a life of its own, and we don't know where it goes from here and who's going forward in future, how it's going to be staffed. It takes on a life of its own, and really terrible things were uncovered in the lawsuit in Santa Ana, where people were going behind closed doors on purpose, avoiding the Jewish community to deal with, I believe some of the quotes we saw in the discovery documents were to deal with the Jewish problem or the Jewish question, which really brings up ugly echoes. And that in relation to the curriculum that was being proposed there. The Orange County Hate Crimes Report for 2024 was recently released, and there was a 71% surge in hate crimes targeting the Jewish community during that year. It's a scary time for our community, and I want to urge everyone, transparency, more transparency is better, less transparency is worse. The confusing process that I've seen reflected in the documents and the confusion with the council members, I really urge for more transparency around if this office is going to be created, what's going to be its scope, to have clarity around what's going to happen here. Because it's too important to get this wrong. I do understand that just even proceeding with the best of intentions, things can go off the rails when there's not transparency. So for those folks who were urging to send this to the council to get clarity on direction and scope and so forth, that sounds like a really good idea to me. Thank you so much for listening, and especially to the volunteers. Thanks for your service, guys. It's really important work.
Thank you. Thank you. AK, you may unmute your mic. AK dropped off. Darren, you may unmute your mic. Darren?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, good evening, members of the DI committee. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak and for your volunteer service. It's very important. I want to directly reference the statements made by Councilmember Carroll during the recent city council meeting. I rewatched that tape multiple times. At minute 4:59, he states the following, and I quote, "We, the city council, will have that vote on the DEI office. We'll have a debate and we'll vote on it. I don't want to impugn anyone in this DEI committee. How could we have an office that was supposed, when it was supposed to come back to me? That process seems to be sidestepped." And this is the councilman. We've also heard from 2 additional committee members today that their council people are confused. That statement is clear. It acknowledges that clear direction has not yet occurred and that the decision on the DEI office was expected to come back to council for debate. That question goes to the heart of the concern that I think you're hearing here, because shortly after these remarks, city staff issued a memo stating that a $200,000 budget adjustment is being approved to move forward with opening that office. That action appears to be in direct contradiction to the council. To be very clear, the city council has not approved the staffing plan, scope of work, or operating budget, yet the staff communications increasingly describe that the office already has been implemented. This is not a small procedural issue. This is a fundamental governance issue. Only the city charter vests that authority to create the office and approve budgets in city council, not in staff memoranda or not through advisory committees. When staff moves forward without a clear council direction, it undermines the transparency, weakens the council, and erodes public trust. Simply changing the name from DE office to office inclusivity does not change this lack of procedure. It's just a ruse to sidestep because DEI is not legal anymore for federal funding or Prop 209. I truly feel that the city staff is trying to bully the DEI committee to rubber stamp this office for not following the process. Our council was right. There should be a debate. There should be a vote. Until that vote occurs, any further steps establishing the office should stop and be brought to city council for clear direction. As the committee members, you have the power to help this. As citizens of Irvine, you have the authority to simply ask city staff to go back to city council for direct, simple, transparent direction. What do they really want to do? It's a simple, simple question. I hope you exercise the right, and I really thank you for your service. Thank you.
AK, you may unmute your mic. You have 90 seconds.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm confused. In what sane world do you create a department and then figure out what it's going to do? This is at a minimum complete fiscal malpractice. And what I'm hearing tonight, in hearing what the staff is doing to this volunteer committee, they're bullying the committee. This is 100% unacceptable and unprofessional to treat anybody this way, let alone a volunteer committee trying to represent the city. I'm embarrassed by the behavior of the staff, whose salaries, I want to remind you, are paid for by the taxpayers. Somebody mentioned having an HR professional in the room. I am an HR professional. And let me tell you, the behavior I saw tonight, there will be some serious conversations tomorrow in my office about what staff members are doing. And also listening to the presentation, I have no idea what the committee is recommending. As Councilwoman Franco would say, this is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. I recommend the appropriate action is to return this to the city council where the authority and accountability properly resides, not with this staff and not with the committee. Thank you so much.
Tracy, do we have any other speakers in the queue?
There is someone with their hand raised, but I believe he's already spoken.
All right, Darren's already spoken.
Okay.
I recommend to close the public comment period.
I recommend, it's already closed, right?
Well, so understanding that people join online, that is closed.
Okay, so then I recommend we close public comment. And, now we will, excuse me, committee members, are there any questions or just further discussion on this item or recommended action since we have about 9 minutes left?
Based on everything heard, the discussion we had earlier, I propose recommended action that the staff take the presentation, take all of the research, all of the accumulated information back to city council and to the public to hear the thought process in the implementation as the original motion suggested, that the office would be established with that research in mind in order to then come up with an implementation timeline, and that we would be involved in the implementation timeline in that discussion, but that it would go to the city council so they understood the full scope. So let me be simple. I am making a motion that we as a committee vote to advise the staff to bring this item back to the city council with answers to a lot of the questions that were raised and research that was apparently done and clarify with our city council members. I can simplify that in for minutes, but I'm making a motion right now.
If I may, Chair. So the research that you are referring to is what we've been presented or the research that's going to occur with the city staff?
Well, I think, yeah, I think a combination of both. I think there was research, as the staff told us already, that they normally do, and they say they normally don't present that to the city council. I'm suggesting that that be presented to the city council.
Okay.
And then what other
Why
other research?
not being presented to us?
Well, in my mind, it needs to be presented to the city council and they need to understand what the proposed scope of the office is before then we advise on, what those things will be. I mean, the way it's being presented to us right now is that the office exists. And so we've had no input on the implementation timeline. And so I don't think the
City council direction, if I recall correctly, and if I'm interpreting it correctly, is to establish an office. It's not that it's created, but it's to establish.
But given the two points in the motion, it was to establish the office in conjunction with the committee, with a survey, engaging the community. But that hasn't been done. They're telling us that the office has been established, that they have a staff person, that they have structure, and we have not been involved in that process. And that's what the council expected. That's my interpretation of what the council expected. And
From what I understand, this process has been kind of a longer process. It started previously when city council voted upon that, and then it came to this committee, and then it was discussed, and then there are certain things that happened, and it's been an ongoing process from what I understand. And we're here now with staff reports and what the recommendations that they brought to us. This is my understanding. I could be incorrect because I just started in this committee last year.
And this vote with city council occurred prior to my joining the committee. And so,
From the
I'm
time,
just trying to.
yeah,
understand
and
that.
it's my understanding that from the time the vote happened, which was
Mhm.
November of 2024, nothing had been presented to the committee, any of this research. And the last meeting, we were told an office was established, and then we didn't get to that, any input. And then today we were told an office is already established and now asking for input. So what I'm saying is the order is reversed, as the staff has said, and that the research and the scope of the office, I'm suggesting that there is a lot of confusion. The public has now raised many different issues. I am very concerned with the establishment happening. If it had been established, then it would have been established back in November of 2024. And there was so much that needed to be done, and it hasn't been presented to us. So anyway, I guess I'm gonna put a motion on the table that I would recommend that we send it back to the city council to for a presentation to occur to the city council so that they can get the full scope of what the office that they anticipate, or that, that they are looking to have, they know what that means. There's been nothing presented to them for them to vote on, and they've asked for the information to come back to them many times. Back in November, they gave 100 days for it to come back as part of that vote. And there was a meeting in October, and they asked for it to come back. So, and it's never come back to them. So I'm asking for us to make a motion. So I guess, sorry, I guess process would be there's a second, and then if there's a second, and then discussion.
I think we haven't finished discussion yet to have a motion. If there are still comments to be made, maybe we can finish the comments and then finish making the moment. Okay.
I wrote down a language for your motion, so at the time that we'd like to return to that motion, I can read it, see if it reflects your request. And
I was just asking whether that's the proper process.
Chair, the process is correct. The vice chair has made a motion, so actually you need to vote on the motion. So if there's a second, that'll be time for a second. If there's not a second, then the motion dies.
But so we don't have a discussion on the motion?
You can discuss.
So there
the
are
motion.
people
We
who,
need a second to have a discussion on the motion.
You have to have a second first, and then.
but you made a motion before she was having conversation,
You just
so.
need a second to have a discussion. It's a second, if it dies, we still have a discussion.
So you just need a second, and then I also.
I understand, but we didn't take a second before she spoke, so I was confused as to why we did do it for her. So,
You should have a second.
and then it sounds like it's
And
already
technically,
seconded.
one little reminder also is that the bylaws indicate that the meeting does conclude at 7 o'clock. So
Right.
if you're gonna continue the meeting, you're gonna either continue the meeting by a motion, or it needs to get concluded.
And can we, as a body, extend the meeting time? So
We have a motion on the table, so we need to finish that, we have to finish the motion that's on the table before we can make another motion.
You need to take a motion though, that's about the time, since the time technically is up here.
because that part is in the bylaws, it's up to you if you would like to move.
Do we kill this motion? We're in the middle of the motion.
make another motion.
On touch, okay.
So I move we go to 7:15.
We need to take a roll call formally for that.
Chair Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dakota,
Yes.
Committee Member Chess, Committee Member Lee, Committee Member Napper,
Yes.
Committee Member Notashen,
Yes.
Committee Member Trent. Motion passes to conclude the meeting at 7:15.
I just wanted to get on the record that I think a 2026 impact report is very premature, because, I mean, I know we had one already, but it sounds like it's mostly about what the city has done and not necessarily an actual evaluation of whether what is being done, how it's been received. So the actual impact of what the city is doing. It's kind of more just like, hey, we did all these things, but do we know like how it actually affected the people that live here? I don't know if that's in there. And so I don't want another report that's the same thing, and because it doesn't have any useful actionable information, so I think. Especially based on the conversation where the stage that we're at now. I don't think we should plan on having an impact report, because I work in communications as a writer editor for the government. I know how long these reports take, and I just don't think it would be useful, a good use of staff time and taxpayer time to put out a report this year.
If I may, we were hoping to utilize survey data to further inform corrections from the community as a first step. And the report was proposed to come out more toward the end of the year, but I certainly am taking into account all of your comments on this process, and that is exactly why we're here today. So thank you.
Can we go back to Vice Chair Procoda's motion? Was there a second to the motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're currently in the discussion phase for that motion. At any time, whenever you are ready to vote, I can read back the proposed motion. You can let me know if you would like any words changed before any vote is taken.
That's very good. I want to what's going on there. Obviously, hearing from the council is size of their interest, so that's clear enough. Their decisions are confused, so it's nothing to bring it back to them, they're less confused. Yeah. The city operates.
And I was gonna say, it's not lost on me that the point of today was for us to offer feedback. I know a few of the public comments were kind of like, you know, have you heard of any of this? Have you given any feedback? And I do recognize that that was the intention of today. And, you know, I do have things that I would want to recommend. So I want to make it clear that I'm not, like, for lack of a better word, like poo-pooing the idea of the office. However, I can't imagine moving forward when council is so confused by the order in which. So I don't want to, you know, spend our time making suggestions for an office that council doesn't understand yet. So with that being said, I am, you know, in favor of the motion to bring this back to council for more explicit feedback.
There was a motion to.
I was just offering feedback on hers, but do we have other discussion on her motion?
Well, I mean, it's really good, and I wanted to say this a lot earlier, but I couldn't get it out. I mean, the feedback that I've got from my council member, and I just met with her about this 2 weeks ago. In relation to my joining this group, is that she is under the impression that this office has been established through the resolution that we keep discussing, and so for her, she's not confused, and I just wanted to say that for the record, but you know, I understand where you all are coming from. I agree as a member of the committee that, you know, I would like a little bit more information, but you know, just based on my understanding of the history of how things have gone with this, is that the office already exists. And I thought we were tasked with kind of help to advise on the scope and budget and sort of the direction of it. That was my thing.
And that is proper, but if logically that would happen before the office actually existed. And the last city council member meeting, actually, a couple of council members asked, does this office exist? And they said, no, it does not exist yet. They said, okay, we want more information to hear about what it's gonna look like. So I don't know when I don't know when it was established. Well, it wasn't established that we were gonna be involved in that, and how the resolution says the direction is to establish with the involvement of the committee and the community. And so it's putting the cart before the horse. And so that's where I think the confusion lies with other council members. I mean, it was, you know, Councilmember Martinez Franco took it on after Mayor Khan. But again, nothing was acted on, and that was November of 2024. And Councilmember Martinez Franco never actually brought it back to council. She brought it once and then took it off and then brought it again and then continued it herself. Kept asking for it to come back along with the council members. So that's why I'm suggesting that we bring it back and give her that information as the others.
Are there any more comments on the motion that's on the table?
The public hear the motion hasn't been wrong.
Certainly. So, this is a concise version, but recommend that staff take the presentation back to the city council.
Well, I guess I mean, would the staff interpret that as just the presentation that you gave tonight? What I'm suggesting is that there has been other research or information. There's been things that were brought up tonight about funding. And so there's additional information that through the public finding out different things that I don't think were addressed in your response. I saw your response. So it feels to me that in addition to the presentation, that there has been other information that has been, you know, come about that we haven't heard, the council hasn't heard, whether that's part of the process or not. I'm suggesting that it be part of the information that is provided to the council. So I would just add to that the presentation, which would include any additional research or clarification about budget, research from other cities, these federal issues regarding COVID funds, all the issues that the public brought up tonight.
Chair, I'd just like to ask a direct question, and I understand that we can't answer this because we're all just, discussing this, but has an office been established?
Yes. And our, once again, we are taking a narrow view of the motion that was passed by the city council. That is the job of staff. That is outlined in our interpretation of the city charter. That is what the city attorney has advised. That is what the city manager manages. We serve at the discretion of the council action. We serve to hear the committee and their advisory recommendations. So our intention is to share with you all the information. Once again, I do feel that we have put together a comprehensive response for the public. All the materials and all the dates were referenced in the staff report for today's item. And about where the money came from. And prior iterations of this committee have considered different options as well. We're trying to focus on the present, but if anybody would ever like more information about past considerations, that is certainly something that we can.
So you just said you made a narrow, what did you just say? You decide.
Is responsible for implementing council direction. So at council direction, we are reading the motion as it was written, direct staff to establish an office of inclusive excellence.
And you're stopping there. So you're taking that narrow scope
And
and not
work with
looking
the DI committee. We feel like they're with you today. One thing I would recommend if we are recommending to go back to the city council, their original motion here does include coming back to the committee and doing outside engagement. So we do not have the results of that outside engagement until we do something with this original motion. So I would respectfully ask that you clarify what type of information you would like staff to share, because that's you shared. There's a certain level of research that we've done over time.
And just to be clear also, the recommendation or motion is advisory. It is advisory, and so city staff obviously works under the pleasure of the city manager. This is the city manager form of government. We understand that you are appointed by city council. We are not appointed by city council. We work at the direction of the city manager.
and in discussion with my council member, she told me the city manager was actually confused. And again, a lot of things came out of the public records request. And that, I mean, again, that's hearsay, because I didn't talk directly, and I plan to meet directly with the city manager, because I was told that he would like some clarification. So I guess I'm a little concerned to hear that there was this very narrow interpretation and that the office was just established. I would like for that, the rest of that motion, which was directed I mean, it's been over a year since that was directed, that be taken to the city council. That's what the council members, in my interpretation of that November motion, is what they expected based on what I heard them say at the last city council meeting.
If I may respond, the staff does not move forward with any initiatives without the direction. City manager is aware of what direction is occurring with this office, and is that the direction of the city manager. But that's who we report to.
I understand that, and I spoke with my city council member yesterday, and that's what she told me, so.
I guess, if I might add a point, it sounds like the confusion, or maybe just to summarize everything, is that city manager is operating off an interpretation or the direction of city council. And city council is saying they don't necessarily agree with the interpretation of their direction. So that's the issue, is they offer direction, city council or city manager is directing city staff to do it, which that's all fine, but now city council is saying, hey, we think you misinterpreted what we wanted. That's what they're telling us. And so we feel kind of like at a standstill of, if council is telling us that their direction was misinterpreted and that they don't understand, then we can't necessarily offer constructive feedback on this item at this time.
And I understand.
That's kind of where the struggle
I'm
is.
just a little confused, like you hear us talk about our council members, I'm confused, but it's almost like you don't want to hear it, like we're telling you exactly what they're saying to us, you know? But it's almost like, that's not quite, the point is an office, you know? So if the city manager answers, but the mercy of the city council, that's what city council, they're confused, like, that's, we're telling you right away, they're confused, but don't want to hear it, it's been like 3 meetings of telling you this. But it's like, it's just, it's gonna happen, it's keep happening, we get it, they voted for an office, that's true. But I think what they would have wanted was the office to be done after all of the research, we've seen that for the last 10 meetings, you know, so we're going backwards. So I think what my committee member is suggesting is good, I think you should include tonight all the research you have, also, and also the speakers, right, but their voices, because the public is where the most important thing is, yeah, because they don't work in the office, you know, they see what they see. And these ladies know a lot of stuff, I don't know them personally, but I'm really impressed, whatever it is they got, I'm sure it's looking nefarious, but it's pretty impressive, because we were in time for that. I think the council should know that as well too. Otherwise, they're hearing that city council meeting as well.
Okay, unfortunately, our extension is about to pass, and so I will request that we take a vote at this time unless there's a burning 30-second moment.
No, is that, ask for clarification, would you like us to
Oh,
return to the city council? Is your recommendation that we return to the city council after doing further research? I think that's just as staff, I would like your clarification. Do you want us to continue doing community research and then take that?
Yes, I would like what was the motion on November 12th, 2024, which outlined number 1 and 2, that's the city council requested, that's what I would
With
like.
the understanding that that will take
Yes,
some time and that it would involve some of the utilization of financial resources that the committee has. Presently.
as long as the legal issues regarding those funds have been resolved.
And
but
regarding that, I just want to clarify that 200,000 does not contribute to my salary. Regular, again, I worked here before, I continue to work here, that money is not involved in my salary. And it is not proposed to be an annual allotment, it is a one-time funds.
But is it allowed to be used on DEI consulting?
The city attorney's office and the administrative services department have reviewed this, and they agree with the use of funds that was passed by council on May 23rd of 2023. And there is an extensive staff report related to the use of those funds, part of it will $1 million.
And for clarity, I was on that committee, or when we voted on that, we requested to use the funds for an RFP to hire a consultant.
Yeah, my only question is, if it's supposed to.
Just for anyone else.
Yeah, when it's supposed to be used in a certain amount of time, and if not used, then return.
But the allocation of the funds by the council incorporates into.
So my motion would be that yes, however long it takes, I mean, again, it's gonna be delayed, but you know, since November of 2024, that this is what the the council that then wanted, and we go back to the council and we know they can say what they want. So the items that are in that motion,
Motion, because I'm not clear on what the motion
So,
is.
presently, again, this is narrow. It says, recommend that staff take the presentation inclusive of research back to the city council.
What is, that you'd like to add?
the November 12th, 2024 has two items attached to it.
You can read it to us.
That included in the information that goes back to the city council, that you have worked with the DEI committee to create an implementation timeline, including a study if needed, that includes recommended organizational structure, staffing plan, budget and resource allocation, and key initiatives, programs that are aligned to the adopted DEI resolution. That you conduct community and stakeholder engagement listening sessions that are including local DEI leaders, nonprofits, cultural organizations, businesses, community groups, and interfaith organization. And this is all to occur, it's my understanding, that this is to occur in the process of establishing an office, not that the office is established and then does these things, but this is the research that the council wanted in their discussion of establishing an office. So this is what my motion would be, go back to the city council with all of this information and let them understand the scope of the office and then decide whether they vote on that scope, given all of this information.
Can I repeat back, I think what you were saying earlier, Rebecca, so you are recommending that staff conducts research, conducts outreach, and return back to the city council at a later date, depending on how long that research takes. But are we hearing that accurately of what you're?
Yes, so that the office is not established and moving forward as an office. You as a staff person will work on this, but that the office, the perception that the office is done, that is not what the council, I mean, we've said it all, so.
I have an update on this motion, but also I just want you to know, I cannot overtake what I've been told the city council has directed me to do.
That's why I just want to be clear, the motion is an advisory motion to the city council. So staff will then prepare, the way that this would work, is staff will prepare a memo to the city council as to the recommendations if it's passed by the DEI committee. That's how the process would work.
But I just want to be clear with the public, I cannot say I'm not part of this office because that is how I directed. So I understand it seems frustrating that I'm using this phrasing. That is how we have read the council direction. So I serve at the pleasure of
So
vice
chair, the motion that I would recommend that you guys take a vote on right now is to move forward with.
Yes,
Thank you.
recommend that staff take the presentation inclusive of research and an update on the status of the November 12th, 2024 motions back to the city council.
Yes, and I mean, I would assume, I
I may add, though, I think what your intent is before establishing creation of the office. I think that's your explicit intent is that.
yes.
And so, Rebecca, I think trying to iterate is that. Yeah, but I just want to be clear on procedure and how this works in terms of you're an advisory committee. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, but in the past, in this committee, and Taryn, you've been on, or Ms. Lawrence has been on the committee before, when there's any recommendations that are made from this committee, it is formally transmitted to the council in what we call a memo.
Yeah.
It is then up to the council to be able to move forward and either request move forward or not request move forward. The staff will transmit this via a memo to council. Right?
And we will,
Anything-
and we should all talk to our council
Correct.
members and
Yes,
let them
yes.
know and understand.
So I'm gonna reread the motion if you would like to hear it. I recommend that staff take the presentation inclusive of research and an update on the status of the November 12th, 2024 motions back to the city council before establishing the creation of an office of inclusive excellence. And there was, because the language was changed
We should
Motion and a
pass
second.
the motion by Vice Chair Bacoda, then we would need a second to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hearing it correctly. I think that's. A little confused.
I'm confused just based on the based on the language, because I know we can't change that. What I would request that we ask council is for clarification on their intentions of the implementation. Versus explicitly saying the sentence before the creation of an office, because that office already exists. Like it literally already exists, so we need to go back to council and say, hey, you're telling us that you're confused, we're confused. What did you mean by this? Like, I would like clarification from council formally to us as a committee and to city staff of what they meant.
Yeah, I mean, I hear when you say the office exists, I don't agree that it should exist, so I'm trying to
Totally.
get clarification. I believe all of
But
this.
because
should
it's
happen.
literal, if we say we want you to do all this before the office exists, then anything we ask for can't really happen because the office already exists. Like, it's not,
Okay,
it's a
so-
semantics thing.
Yes, no, I know.
agree
So
with your
what are-
statement.
What are the semantics to get the point across? But I guess the.
Is there a suggestion? Do you have a amendment or?
I'm sorry, excuse me, but, just for clarification, that it was to establish an office. And then in the process, I think if the clarification, regardless of, sorry, but regardless of my opinion, it's to, advise or what has, city council has put forth. So if they could clarify the establishment and make that clear for everybody.
You can add the word clarify. No, I mean.
And get that. Do you know?
Yeah, yes,
But can you read it to us? You're all
I'm
clear.
trying to see where we are. Okay. Currently, it says recommend that the staff take a presentation inclusive of research and an update on the status of the, maybe update and clarifications on the status of the motion. Sorry, no, let's
of the items listed in the
inclusive
motion.
of research. And
What clarification, just so we can try to help write this so that it's clear, what
Clarification
clarification?
that they thought that the office would have, it doesn't open right away when they voted yes, November, we've gone through this like 3 months in a row.
Right,
It's the
that's
same
it.
thing with that board.
So the implementation plan was to implement
Yeah,
the office.
Before,
they didn't want the office like at that day.
before getting all of this information. So the confusion lies in the process and the process as I understand it, and I think other council members understand, is the way that motion was written, that first line to establish, there was a continuation of that, I don't agree with the narrow interpretation. I agree, what I believe is that was to be contingent on gathering all of this information, and then the scope of the office would be defined based on having that information. So I believe that it has been incorrectly established. So contingent, yeah, I just, I'm at loss of words right now, but
No, that was perfect. Because if they clarify that, if the issue is that the discrepancy is in the interpretation of their direction, then that's where we need clarity, is what did they actually mean? Because if they didn't mean it, then they can tell that to city staff. And we can say that our suggestion is that we've been making the same suggestion, we want the research first, that's already clear, that part's already clear.
is that clear? I know.
We're trying to figure out how I could word what I think your intent is, recommend that staff make a presentation, this is the research. I believe all the items that are on the paper. So we're back number 1 and number 2, I think, oh, you have it back here, sorry, yeah. Number 1 and number 2. That along with this, do you want to say proposed scope, along with the scope of the proposed?
Yeah.
Proposed scope of the office to city council before establishing the creation of office of inclusive excellence. Does that capture your motion?
Establishing its intent. If I would just, that was it. You don't want the word create.
No,
Oh, confused, I'm confused again. Yeah, it's fine, okay.
Why can't you use what she literally said? She said it perfectly, we all agreed, and then you're writing something completely different than what she said. Just go back to the recording, use what she said, and make that the motion.
Can you please repeat what you said to me for, it's not clear for staff, so that's
Okay,
why
sorry.
we're trying to
Yes,
get.
no,
Okay, if
okay.
you'd like to write it, we'd be happy to take it. We're not trying to.
I know, I understand. So, that the establishment of the Office of Inclusive Excellence be contingent upon the motion created in November of 2024, which asks that, the items number 1 and number 2 come back to the council, and for the council to give the intent of the scope of the office.
Do you want to give them the report?
Yeah, that's part of it. I thought that was part of, that was the purpose, that's just a sentence. It's part of the motion. Yeah.
What you want, so you want.
Oh, the purpose, presentation, you're right, I mean, I don't know that, yeah. I mean, it's more of this information, I can't remember if your presentation included.
Into committee member Tran, your motion doesn't include.
Yeah.
The research and now currently says recommend the establishment of the Office of Inclusive Excellence be contingent on the results directed at the November 12th, 2024 motions.
The first part of her motion wasn't supposed to change, only the second part. Oh.
That part should have already addressed for you back then. Yeah, because that doesn't have all of this in there, right? Your
Recommend
presentation.
that staff take a presentation inclusive of research. Recommend that the establishment of the Office of Inclusive Excellence be contingent on the results directed in the November 12th, 2024 council meeting. Inclusive of the motion, that's right here, and give the intent and scope of the office.
It should have the next sheet.
The first sentence, now, the second sentence, that we already.
Okay. And we will meet with our council members to the extent that we. Yeah, but it's move on. Sorry.
Recommend that staff take a presentation on the establishment of the Office of Inclusive Excellence.
The meeting.
They're typing it wrong from what she says. And I'm
Sorry, we,
Sorry.
recommend that staff take a presentation on the establishment of the Office of Inclusive Excellence to the city council. And that the office be contingent on the results directed in the November 12th, 2024 motions. And this is a run-on sentence, and give the intent of the scope of the office.
And ask the council to give their intent of the scope of the office.
It's already implied, the city council gives the intent of the scope of the office, so I would turn to the engineer that you asked for a second.
So would you like me to read it once more? And apologies, the language is not working here, but recommend that staff take a presentation on the establishment of the Office of Inclusive Excellence to the city council. And that the office be contingent on the results directed in the November 12th, 2024 motions. Give the intent of the scope of the office.
That's so second by committee member Tran.
Yes.
Chair Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dakota,
Yes.
Committee Member Chen. Yes. Committee Member Lee. Committee Member Namber,
Yes.
Committee Member Noda Shen. Yes. Committee Member Tran.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Motion of the members present.
And, are there any additional, motions that the committee would like to consider before we go?
Meeting is adjourned at 7:31 p.m.
Roll call vote.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, Chair. Oh, wait, we need to have a motion. I said it.
Now can we have a roll call vote?
Okay, Chair Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chair Profuda?
Yeah.
Committee Member Chen? Committee Member D? Committee Member Napper?
Yes.
Committee Member Notishet?
Yes.
Committee Member Trevor?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.
Well, for your time.